In the repair shop today,
This way I'm not going to break this delicate stitch work.
Suzie and Brenton face a challenge with a 1930s camera.
Unfortunately, something I really did not want to do is I'm going to have to take this apart and see why this mechanism is not working.
And Sonas and Steve work their magic on an unusual musical chair.
This is a moment of truth, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite tense.
First, Sarah Reddings from Oxfordshire has a well-loved and well-travelled companion who needs help from soft toy experts Amanda and Julie.
Hello. Hello. Hi, welcome. Who have you bought for us?
I've brought Fairstar, my little sailor doll, along for you.
Oh, look, isn't he sweet? Fairstar, that's an unusual name.
He's named after a ship. When I was a little girl, I was 3, my family emigrated to Australia, and my parents got him on board the ship. I think they were souvenir dolls.
So you actually emigrated?
Yes, my father was actually born in Oxfordshire, but grew up in Australia, and came home after the war just to have a brief visit. Met my mother 4 children later, so we all emigrated as 10 Pound Poms in the 1960s.
Oh, tell us about that.
The Australian government were encouraging people to go out and settle in Australia. So we arrived in Australia, and in those days you had to go to an immigrant camp. And it was December 1965, just before Christmas, and I became very ill with bronchial pneumonia. And in those days, doctors wouldn't come to the immigrant camps at all.
How did you actually get the medical help that you needed?
In the end, my father was so desperate, he just went out and he started walking around the streets. And he ended up going into a bar, just saying, can anybody please help me? I need a doctor for my daughter. And he happened to be wearing his lapel pin, which was from his army service, and somebody recognised it and said, are you an Anzac? Were you in the army? And he said, yes. And because he was in the Australian army during the war, apparently things moved very quickly after that. They found a doctor, and it was a long time later that I did find out that, you know, I was very likely to have died if I hadn't got into a hospital. So, yes, I count myself very, very lucky.
So Fairstar's with you when you arrive, and then you get ill. What do you remember? What happened next?
So I spent a week to 10 days in hospital, and the only thing I was allowed to take was my little doll, because my parents weren't allowed to be with me, and I was only 3, and all I can remember is being in an oxygen tent with it over my face, and I used to just rub him with my fingers because he's soft. Oh. And it just made me feel very safe. That's it, really. I shouldn't cry because I'm proper grown-up now, but he's suffered a bit since then because he's been quite well loved. And now we're back here, and it's my home, and I have a 3-year-old granddaughter now who found him on my desk and obviously started asking questions. Who is he? What is he? And at that point, it did occur to me that he was looking a bit sad.
I was going to say, what are your concerns for him?
He's got a tear in his face, which is a slight concern because that's obviously quite fragile. He's grubby, I'm sad to say. I don't want him to look brand new, but I'd just like him to feel a bit stronger and like he might survive.
He's very important, isn't he?
Yes, yes, he is.
He's been through a lot.
Thank you for bringing him to us. He's so adorable, I can't wait to have a go
I'm really
at seeing how we can help him. He's very beautiful, and we will treasure him for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My granddaughter, Ivy, is 3, so she is the same age that I was when I became so ill. And I think looking at her now, you realise how very important the love that you have for your family is. It's really important. And I suppose Fairstar sort of seems to encapsulate that for me now.
Do you know what I love?
What do you
His
love?
eyes.
I know.
Absolutely amazing how bright they are.
Well, actually, the whole of his face, look, you can still see his mouth,
Yeah.
his eyebrows, it's all still there, all that detail.
What's you thinking?
He definitely needs a bit of a spruce up.
Yeah.
Obvious damage. He's missing a little foot. He's got a lot of damage on this arm.
Yeah.
His face, there's an obvious bit of damage here, which is going to be quite tricky to do, actually. If you don't mind taking the appendages, his arm, etc.
Yeah.
And I will work on his head and his body.
Sure. That'd be perfect.
So that's the arm. There's his hat. The last little bit to come off is going to really give me some jip. So I'm going to give you these pieces and you can have a look.
Okay. Okay.
and see what you want to do with those.
Great.
While I try and get him out of this knot.
Thank you.
Next to arrive at the barn is Graham Coleman from Buckinghamshire and daughter Caroline, with a story of survival and endurance.
Hello. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
What have you brought in for us today?
This old thing is my dad's first camera.
Restoring it will be a team effort between leather expert Suzie
I heard the word camera.
Hello, Brenton.
Hello.
and vintage camera specialist Brenton.
Whose camera was this?
Well, it was my father's, Brenton. He was captured at Dunkirk and was interred as a prisoner of war for the remainder of the war. Never smoked, and they used to get Red Cross parcels occasionally, which always had a few packets of cigarettes in, and in the camp, cigarettes were used as currency.
OK.
And he acquired it, he told me, from a fellow prisoner who didn't want it by giving the chap, I don't know, however many packets of cigarettes. If the German guards had known about it, they would have confiscated it.
So the photographs your dad took at the prison camp with the camera, have you got those?
He had put them all into albums, and I remember him showing them to me as a boy, but they were flooded, and we lost the wartime photographs.
Oh, that's such a shame.
No.
So I only have one left,
Oh, gosh.
which is when he was being repatriated from France. He was loaded onto a United States Air Force Dakota, and it crashed on takeoff, caught fire, but they all escaped unharmed. And Dad had the presence of mind to take a photograph. It's the one photograph that we still have
That's incredible.
taken during the war.
So when your dad got home, did he carry on taking photographs of it?
Yes, he did. Dad bought me my own camera when I was probably 10 or 11, and we used to go out together. And, yeah, I've always been interested in photography ever since, and it seems to pass through the genes down to Caroline here.
Yeah, I went to study photography at university, and my final major, I chose black and white film. So that was my nod to Grandad, and so it'd be great to see what I could possibly get out of this camera if it could be working again.
Do you know when it was last used?
It would have been in the 1960s, I think.
OK.
Yeah. It got put away by him, and then in '98 he gave it to me, and I'd put it away in the hurly-burly of life until we discovered it recently. And I just thought, at the time, how lovely that would be if we could get it up and running again and share its use together, and eventually, well, it will rest with you. The shutter operates, but
Takes
whether
some
that's
learning.
the limit of it, and the aperture opens and closes, and there's lots of wings and dings on it.
I think the case looks a little bit...
Yes, that's some of Dad's handiwork there.
Tape it together, why not?
I like the stitching. I quite like the idea of keeping that there.
OK.
But used to have a strap,
Yes.
really, but that's been
Yeah.
lost at some point.
Yeah. I think it would be lovely to get that really back into solid condition so it can be used safely.
So if I can get the camera to work, what will it mean to you?
It's my chance to feel close to my granddad.
It's a link back to him. It means an awful lot. I'm very fond of him. Very, very fond of him, my hero, Dad.
Thank you so much for bringing the camera and the case in,
Yeah.
and Suzie and I will do our best.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. Just can't wait.
Can't
can
wait,
you?
can I?
My dad was a very wonderful man. He was a very understanding father, and I've tried to be a father to Caroline and my son Philip on the lines that he was to me.
I don't think many people have the opportunity to do something with such a history. So this is just taking it almost to another level, really.
Awesome, as you would say.
So this is a Kodak Retinette, dated 1939, and they only made this camera for 1 year. A lot of the parts came from Germany, and in 1939, getting supplies from Germany to America was not so easy. Some of the leatherette is coming off, and I think I'll replace this one piece on the bottom. I need to check that the winder mechanism is working correctly, and that's what is worrying me a bit because of this screw which has been out numerous times by the looks of it. The sort of marks on there. Someone's been trying to have a look inside here, which indicates there might be a problem.
This is a very, very delicate little repair here that is going to take some really tiny little stitches and a lot of patience.
Amanda must steer a careful course as she mends the tear on the sailor doll's face.
I've decided the best way to do this is to open up this seam. I'm going to take a little bit of stuffing out and I'm going to try and release some pressure on this face. I can't remove all of it, I don't think, because I don't want to lose the shape of his face, because that is what gives him his character. Just carefully snipping the stitches. I can see that in the back of the head here, he's got some kapok. Kapok comes from a pod, it grows on trees, and they kind of burst them open and all this lovely fluffy stuff comes out. I'm just going to take it out a tiny bit at a time, just enough so I can get a little bit of movement in there. This is just so delicate and so thin. It's a bit like a pair of tights, and if you catch it and one of the threads goes, it starts to ladder and it will continue to tear. I've got to be really careful, because if I make any more damage here, we're in big trouble. So I've got a little bit of creplin mesh here. So not only is it going to strengthen the area, it's going to give me support, both for my stitching and for the face. And I'm going to try to feed this in underneath that little gap that I've made, and as far underneath his little face as I can possibly get it. Once that's done, I'll be able to start doing the stitches.
Now that I've washed all Fairstar doll's little pieces of clothing, I'm really pleased with how his collar has come up. But it's very, very faded on the original side, so it's our plan to use the reverse side, which still has a lot of the original beautiful blue. I'm going to completely undo this little seam and turn it back over and re-stitch it in place, but with this as the front. This little doll is very small. He's very sweet and he's very adorable, but with that comes very fiddly. And all these stitches are so tiny, it's going to take me a little while to get around the edge.
I'm really happy with the way the mesh has gone into little Fairstar doll's face. I can see why Sarah felt safe with him when she was a child. He's sort of got that sort of friendly, reassuring little look. He's sort of little smile. I think he's really sweet. So the next thing will be to go round the edges, and then I'm going to fill it in with a very fine darn. So now I can start to put in the weft to white stitches on my darn. The weft stitches go weft to white and the weave goes up and down. When it comes to hand stitching, everything I know I've built on what my nan taught me, because she taught me to darn, which is a skill that not many people even know what that is now. You know, it's a dying art, as it were. So I feel really grateful that she did teach me, because I wouldn't be doing this job if it wasn't for her.
Very nearly finished stitching around the collar, and I'm really pleased that we were able to use this collar in reverse instead of replacing it. I think once it's round his little neck, he's going to look very handsome. So now I've finished that, I'll start working on his hat.
Next, a magical musical tale. Linda Nicknam has travelled from Yorkshire to seek help from furniture restorer Sonaz Nuranvari.
Hi there.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm Sonaz, lovely to meet you.
And I'm Jay. And you are? Oh, look at
Linda.
that. Linda. To me, it looks like a Lloyd loom. Is that right? Is this...
I'm not sure. It looks distinctively like a Lloyd loom.
Yeah. And it's an English classic. They still make them today, don't they?
They do, yes. Lloyd looms still manufacture furniture.
I think they are beautiful chairs because these are made out of paper. So you've got the timber frame and then around it is just woven paper, just twisted all together.
So is this paper as well?
All paper.
All of it?
All of it's paper, apart from the actual frame.
Oh, gosh.
So when did you get this? Can you tell us about it, please?
My parents bought it for me when I was about 2.
Right.
OK.
Then when I had my son, he's used it, and it didn't work when he had it.
What do you mean? It's a chair.
It didn't play the music.
Oh, it's got a music box in the bottom.
So what used to happen is, my mother used to wind it up when I wasn't looking.
Right.
Then when I sat in it, it used to play.
Oh.
And when I got out of the chair, it would stop.
Stop.
It's magic.
So it was really quite dear to you as a
Yes.
child, the
Yeah.
chair?
I used to want to take it everywhere we went. If we visited my grandmother or visited my aunt, the chair went in the car with us.
So when your son sat in it, the music box wasn't
No,
working?
no.
OK. Why do you want to get it repaired now?
To think it's lasted this long and it's in this condition,
Yeah.
if it was made to look a lot better and newer, then it might, you know, have another generation in it. My son was in it and now my granddaughter, and at the moment when she sits in it, I can see her putting her fingers in here and pulling this.
Yeah, and that would just snap off.
What's your granddaughter's name?
Mila.
And does she know that it's a musical chair?
No.
Oh.
So you would like the music box working?
Of course.
You want the magic back?
Yes. And to have a look at maybe what was underneath here, with this pattern underneath here.
OK. Linda, thank you for bringing this in. It's going to be interesting to see what's underneath that cover as well.
Lovely to meet you, and we'll see you again soon.
You take care now.
You're in safe hands, little chick.
Yeah, you can relax.
It'll be really nice to see Mila, my granddaughter, getting into the chair. I'm not sure what she'll make of it if there's music, but it would just be lovely to see her reaction when she sits in it.
Look at it. It's a little baby, this is. But the music box, that's the only thing that's really worrying me. Don't know how the mechanism would have worked underneath a seat. And I can get Steve Kemper on that one. But it's over to you.
The first thing I'll do is get it stripped.
All right, I'll let Steve know.
All right. I really have never even heard of a musical chair before, let alone worked on one. So I'm really intrigued to see what's going on underneath here. Ah, strange. OK. So the spring is actually attached to the board and not the upholstery. I'm really intrigued to see what Steve thinks of that. Now that the mechanism's to one side, I can focus my attention on the chair. And I know that I've got this braid that needs restoring and repairing and putting back. The paintwork on the chair needs a bit of TLC as well. But first of all, I'm going to focus on the seat base. I'm hoping it's going to be quite straightforward to unpick. Those front tacks are up, and if I lift this, I can see something underneath there. I can see a couple of bears, some toadstools, and I think I can see a rabbit there as well. That's so sweet. That's really sweet. I don't think that this original children's fabric will be reusable, even at first glance, but I would like to keep it for Linda because it's what she remembers. I'm going to get the rest of these tacks out now, and then once I've done that, I'm going to have a think about how I can tackle restoring this braid.
At his bench, Brenton has his hands full with a camera that survived a German prisoner of war camp.
So I've got a slight problem here where this sprocket, which the film is driven by, won't go backwards, and I've got a bit of a jam up, which is no good. So you could take 36 pictures and then not be able to get the film out. So unfortunately, something I really did not want to do is I'm going to have to take this apart and see why this mechanism is not working. Well, that's interesting. So that is loose. I wonder if that's part of the problem. So that screw in the middle of this assembly was really, really loose. And that was allowing this assembly to move up when it shouldn't have been. And therefore, it was jamming against the winder on the side. I've done this screw up, and I believe now if I put this back together, it's going to work. Now I've got it this far, I'm going to give it a quick clean.
Just looking at the condition of this camera case, so what I'm aiming for is to put the case into a usable condition, and the original strap that goes over the shoulder when you're carrying it has broken, so I have to make a new one of those. So there's a fair amount needing to be done, but I'm fairly confident. Just need to start by removing this tape. It is coming off, and it's coming off quite well without creating any damage underneath.
Well, that's the mechanism put back together, and the only way I'm going to be able to test that is to put a film through it and take some pictures and then see if I can rewind the film at the end. Any of these modern 35mm films will go through this camera, but I'm using black and white because that's what would have been used originally. Right then, we're ready to go.
The camera case has been repaired in the past by Caroline's grandfather, and he's stitched over the edges here. Caroline has specifically asked that I keep this in place, but it's beginning to come apart, and because I can't disturb the original stitching, I'm using a tiny little nozzle attached to this tube of glue so I can get it down between the two surfaces and bond them together. This way I'm not going to break this delicate stitchwork.
I've taken a 36 film of pictures of this, and the moment of truth now is to see whether I can rewind this film or whether the mechanism is still failing. This is really, really encouraging. It's quite stiff, but it's not jamming. And I know that the film is off of this reel when this spindle stops turning. There we go, that one stopped turning now, which means it's now safe to open the back of the camera. I'm really, really pleased that's working. I've still got nerves because I've now got to see if the pictures I took worked or not. So if they come out correctly, that will mean that Caroline can use this camera, which would be fantastic. While I'm waiting for those to be developed, I'm going to do the cosmetic work on the outside of the camera. This is enamel paint, which is what they would have used originally. I would normally leave something like this original. I think for Caroline to have a camera that looks smart will be better for her to use. I'm not disguising anything, I'm just making it look a bit more like when Harry first got it.
While Brenton is focused on cosmetic repairs, Julie and Amanda are nearing the end of their voyage with Fairstar, the little sailor.
Amanda's done such a beautiful job of his sweet little face. I absolutely love him. I've just got to put his arm back on. This was the one that had quite a lot of damage to it. I've lined it and made some darning repairs over and into the felt lining, and now I've just got to reattach it before I add his feet and then get him dressed.
This small doll was a huge comfort to owner Sarah when, as a 3-year-old girl, she lay desperately ill in a hospital bed. Today, She's hoping the doll's ability to soothe and calm has been preserved.
Fairstar stayed with me through thick and thin. I've had him sat on my bed or on my desk ever since I was a very small child. And I would really like Fairstar to be strong enough for my grandchildren to all play with and handle and learn the story.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm just nervous because I can't believe that you will have been able to repair Fairstar because my poor little doll was quite damaged. In fact, I had a new grandson born just last week. So
Oh, congratulations.
It's quite an emotional time and I'm just so happy at the thought of bringing him home.
Well, we fell in love with him, didn't we?
The most adorable little face.
I think it's the eyes.
There's a huge amount of memories and sentiment all wrapped up in that little
Yes,
doll, isn't there?
very much so, very much.
Do you think we should...
Well, I think maybe the time has come.
OK.
Are you ready?
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Can I touch it?
Yes,
It's yours.
Pick him up and give him a hug.
Oh, it's just amazing. I honestly can't believe what you've done. Oh, you've done his face. Oh, my goodness. That is just amazing. I cannot believe you've been able to do that. Just everything about him is perfect. But he's still my Fairstar. Thank you so much. I can just remember being very little and just wanting my mum, having him. And then I can actually remember being better and coming out of hospital and just being warm. I think that's the other thing I associate with him because it was winter in England when we left, but it was summer when we arrived in Australia. Just lovely, lovely memories. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So what are your plans for him now, Sarah?
So I'm looking forward to taking Fairstar home, showing him to Ivy and to Maeve, letting them touch him, hold him. Then he's going to sit back on my desk.
Wonderful.
And be with me every day.
We're just so happy to have been able to do it for you.
Bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Sarah.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
I am feeling ridiculously happy. I just can't stop grinning. I can't stop smiling. For me, Fairstar really represents my mum's everlasting sense of optimism. She was just the eternal optimist. And I really want my grandchildren to learn the story and for me to imbue them with that sense of optimism, hope and happiness.
While Sonaz tackles the musical chair's tired cushion, music box maestro Steve Kember is doing his best to coax out a tune.
So I'm going to remove the mechanism from its plywood base and investigate, rectify, service, reassemble. I put the springy bit aside. That's our little cylinder there. We got sort of a mucky old residue on there. Right, so there's no obvious trauma here. The problems we're facing are caused by an accumulation of muck and grime rather than anything a bit more sinister. I think the problems are going to be solved by a good clean.
The braid is frayed at the bottom here, and I really want to see if I can save it. My main objective is to make this miler-proof now. So there's 4 strands per plait section. I just want to make sure that I'm getting them absolutely correct. Then I'm going to glue it back to the frame. Good, that's good. I'm just pulling a little bit of tension in there, so that's good.
Now that that's secured down, I'm going to pin it in place, and then I'm going to touch the heads up with the paint, and you'll never know that they're there. I've managed to mix the exact right tone of green to just touch in any areas on the chair where the paintwork has completely gone. I don't want it to look brand new, but I really want it to look fabulous, but still retaining that lovely patina that Linda said she'd like to keep. Once I've touched up these little areas, I'll then move on to really repainting in that gold on Linda's name.
So the mechanism has now been cleaned, no huge issues. I'm going to reattach the trigger mechanism, the on-off switch, to the musical movement so that we can see how it works and I can understand it before I proceed and make any other further adjustments. Tighten that up. Now let's see if it works. There we are. Music, no music. So when I push down, the spring is moving, say, 2-3 centimetres, something like that. And we've got a little cantilever here, a little hinged bracket. When I get up off the chair, the cantilever moves back and we don't have any music. So we can imagine Linda having hours of fun up and down on this chair, stop-starting the music. Who wouldn't? There.
I'm using the original covering as my template to cut my new piece of fabric. I'm positioning it so that I can get this lovely toucan, a little baby elephant, and a tiger on the seat base, which I think is quite fun. It'll be quite fun for Mila to try and point those animals out and name them. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. It does feel a little bit odd not putting some springs or some webbing across this base, but I know that if I do, there's a high chance that there won't be enough movement in that base for it to then trigger that musical mechanism to work. That would be a disaster. I'm going to try my fabric on just to make sure I'm on the right lines. Oh yeah. I'm really pleased with how that's sitting on there. Now I just need to put some polyester wadding on top of the foam, pop my fabric on, staple it down, and then finish it off with a complementing braid.
This is looking lovely. Let's start to cut that off.
Brenton and Susie's work on the 1930s camera is almost complete.
I've now got this new strap made for the camera case. I can just attach this with a little pot rivet. There we go, so that's one side on. Let's go and do the other. One more rivet and we'll be in business. That's good. Okay, so I just go punch a series of holes in the strap so that Caroline can adjust it to her level of comfort, and then it will be ready to be reunited with the camera.
This camera documented life in a German prisoner of war camp and inspired a family of photographers. Now Graham and his daughter Caroline are back to collect it.
The camera, it's a great connection to my dad. So I remember him with it and me with him. And he started my interest in photography, which has gone down through to Caroline.
Yep.
Hoping Brenton's breathed new life into it.
Hi, Caroline. Hi, Graham.
Hi.
How you doing?
How are you?
We're good, thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too. How are you feeling?
Excited, aren't we?
Yeah, I
we
don't
are.
know what to expect. I'm really
Yeah.
curious.
It would be lovely if you've been able to get it working, Brenton, because we've been talking about maybe taking it out together and see if we can get the best shots with it.
OK, are you ready to see the camera?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
yes,
case?
please.
Okay.
Oh, goodness me.
Wow.
Gosh.
Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
That's insane. That's stunning.
I've managed to get it working again and given it a good clean up and a check
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, I remember what it looked like all around the outside. That's fantastic, Brenton. Have you looked through it?
Oh, no, I didn't even... blown away by it already.
That's Dad there, your grandfather.
Oh, don't say that. You're going to make me go. Thank you so much. So talented.
No, you're welcome.
What would Harry think now?
I don't think he'd know what to say, actually, would he?
Yeah.
Yeah, big hugs.
Yeah.
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 No, he'd be so pleased.
It's such a privilege to think that we can use this now.
And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing some monochrome black and white photographs.
Funny you should say that.
Oh, really?
So I did put a film in the camera and took some pictures.
Oh,
Oh,
amazing.
my goodness. Will you look at those?
Indoors and outdoors.
Oh,
You just...
they're much better than I thought they would be.
They've got a beautiful
Yeah.
quality about them, haven't they?
We can't thank you enough, seriously, both of you.
That's
We
incredible.
really can't.
I feel like I can't put it into words properly just how much
No.
this means. It's
Yeah.
it's huge.
The fact you're going to use it, I mean, that's the best thing.
Yes,
So-
yes.
I can't wait.
Good.
All right, enjoy.
Amazing.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
you.
Take care.
Because I was so young when Grandad passed away, I just wish he'd been able to see me enjoy photography so much and to carry it on. So the next best thing is to have the camera, and yeah, I'd like to think I'd make him proud. I want to make you proud because you're the reason I'm a photographer.
As soon as we get home, we're going to get some film and we're going to go out in London.
To make new memories with it.
Yes,
For me.
exactly that. Exactly that.
Carry
Well
on
done.
the story.
Yeah.
In the outdoor workshop, Sonaz has the musical chair, looking lovely once again.
Hello, Steve.
Hello.
How are you?
All right, how are you? How's the
good.
chair?
Ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready.
Oh, good.
Wowee, look at that.
I'm a bit concerned that I've upholstered the base a bit too tight and there might not be enough give to be able to trigger your musical box.
Let's have a look.
This is a moment of truth, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite tense.
Here we go.
OK. Right, ready?
I'm not sure. Yeah, perfect. No, I don't know the tune. What is the tune?
You don't know the
I
tune.
know. Sheltered upbringing.
Teddy Bear's Picnic, isn't it?
Oh. Linda's going to be thrilled that it's working, and hopefully Myla as well.
Let's hope so. There you go.
Lovely.
There you
Thank
go.
you so
Over to
much.
This much-loved musical chair that was gifted to Linda by her parents as a child fell silent decades ago.
I'm here to pick up the magic musical chair, and I've got Myla here today, who's my granddaughter. It'll be very special for me if the chair works, and it's just excitement to see what it's going to look like.
Hello, Linda. Welcome back.
Hi, nice to see you again, Sonaz.
see you. This must be Myla. What are you hoping to see and hear, potentially?
Oh, well, I'm hoping to see the chair as it was and hear how the magic works again. The music.
How about you and Myla do the honours together?
Pull it. What is it? What is it? Pull
Keep
it.
going, keep going, keep
Again.
going.
Oh, look. Look, what's that? Oh, gosh, that's so cool.
You can take it down, Linda, if you want.
Look at that. Can you sit in it? Look at that. What's he doing? Oh. Oh. It's the teddy bear's picnic. Is that nice? Wow.
What do you think, Linda?
It's lovely. It's absolutely lovely.
So nice.
Yes. Oh. Oh, it works perfectly, doesn't it? Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
How does it feel hearing it working
Oh,
now?
it's fabulous. It's really good. And to think this is all repaired and it was all hanging off and, you know, fraying. It looks absolutely gorgeous.
There was a child's fabric underneath that top layer, so I tried to make it slightly more modern, but still a child's fabric. And I'd hoped maybe Mila might be able to name the animals as well as she gets older.
Oh, yes, definitely, especially the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks absolutely lovely.
It was lovely to work on and restore for you, and to bring that magic back for you as well.
Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's all yours to take home now, so how about you take Mila and I'll bring the chair.
Say bye-bye, Mila.
Bye.
Bye. Come on then, let's go. Wave bye-bye, bye. When the music played, it was like our little magic chair again. It's working. I hope the chair's going to be used for many, many more years and for future generations. I think it's really nice.